Good thing I cut the part off because I had to move stuff even though the phone was calling. But anyway, let's move on to our features here. Okay, so our very first Numark DJ. Pretty sure that came from UK, all the way from Crossfader workplace, which I'm pretty sure it's Crossfader. I don't know where EJ got it, so I'm pretty sure it's somewhere by Crossfader or somewhere by the studio store and stuff. Anyway, let's get to the buttons. So over here, I'm gonna look at the browse feature first. So let's get started on the browse. So this, you have to like scroll up and down and choose our favorite artists and playlists and favorite songs. So you have to scroll up and down. I know I got a lot. If you use the back one, you can go back to our create playlists and just scroll up and use the other ones too. If you don't want to use that, you just go back and just put any song that is cool. So to load a song, you have to press the button right there, the load button, and it'll load this deck or the other deck right there. So this is deck 1 and it's already loaded. I'll show you again what it looks like. Here we go. Okay, and yeah, this is all the browse feature right there. We got 3 controls, which are kind of EQs the moment. We'll go over them later. We got pad mode we're going to look at later, and a tempo, and other features too as well. Alright, let's get started now. We got, first of all, we got some up faders to bring the volume up and down during the mix, and a crossfader to go to deck 1 or deck 2. I'm pretty sure in settings you can change the crossfader that if you want to do and stuff. Like for example, we got enable hotkeys, playback using key shift, and song loaded too. There's the audio we can just go onto, and how many size explains that if the hardware and the software, like using volume and stuff, don't know what that means. Got library and display showing iTunes libraries and stuff. And the mixer, and this is the output stereo right there. And yeah, that's the crossfader right there, which is verse, the stable, power, and everything else here. Alright. Okay guys, first of all, we got some 3 pads we got sync, play, and cue. Let's go over them right now. First we got cue right there. It doesn't play the track because you have to like hold it or something like that. That way, if the sound is working, you have to like test everything out. If the sound itself is working, if it doesn't work, then use the up fader to bring the volume and the gangnongs too as well. So yeah. pretty sure feature that Q works really well. So I'll show you up on the screen. And it stops right there. And we got the play and pause button. You don't have to hold Q too much, even though you're trying to do your mix in a club or something. Your finger will get sore if you hold Q too much like that. But the play button is simple. You just have to play it and don't hold anything. You just do like this. Just like that. If something's going on, if you like play and pause for a moment and then keep playing and hit the cue, I'll show you what it looks like. You just pause the track and press the play button and hit the cue point. It goes back to the track. I'll show you what it looks like, you guys. You stop right there. If you play it again, and you hit the cue, goes back to the start. I'll show you what it looks like in the cue moment soon. While we're talking about cue here, we got some of your up fader volume. I'll show you what it looks like. Something like that. If you like want to move your volume and stuff, well, mixing, you just have to like do like this. And this. Something like that. You just toggle anything that you're gonna mix, like mixing features like up fader or crossfader that you mix during the music so far. Anyway, I want to focus on this now. This cue point, it's basically like a hot cue. It's basically if you're like playing the song and stopping the point and just press the cue and it plays. I'll show you what it looks like. You pause it, and if you press the cue, and just hit it right there as a marker, the white marker. And if you play it, it plays the song, and if you press cue, it goes back right there. Something like that, if you want to do, it's basically like a hot cue to me, but not really, because this is a white marker, because this is our normal cue right there. And if you hold cue, it won't jump back to the start, so that's why I set this cue point right there. Alright, anyway, next we have a DJ scratch. The DJ scratch is like you're scratching the song if you go backwards or forwards, something like that. I'll show you what it looks like. Something like that, if you're like doing it. If you don't want to have a scratch on, you could just turn it off and just play the song faster or slower. Something like that. If you like, you're gonna move anything like that. Anyway, let's go back to the start where we were. And you can actually do scratch beats too when you're mixing a song. If you don't want it playing, just pause it and just do like this. And it won't play automatically. So yeah, that's basically scratching using cue and play. And now onto these guys right there. 3-band EQ. It's kind of like a 3-band EQ if you're like playing some club style. Like, for example, we got bass. I'll show you what it sounds like. Something like that. If you're playing like controlling the bass in the mixing knob, that you hear a rumble beat song. If you're like vibrating something like a bass boost, something like that. Something like that. You feel like the rubber moving like that. It's basically the rubber of the beat sound. Alright, we got treble here. That basically is the medium. This one is the low. This one's the medium. I'll show you what it sounds like. Something like that. If you're like doing like a treble bass and then you hear the sound melody pitch of your song, then easy to mix those. And last one is the gang up there. It's the high one. If you're not hearing anything, just silence the music. Watch this. No sound. Something like that. Like, I have my DJ 400, which it basically has a 3-band EQ, mixing those guys right there. I'll come to those mixing features because I have my 400 DJ, which has a 3-band EQ, but this is not having a 3-band EQ here. Just like if you're mixing bass and everything. I'll show you what it looks like when you mix all three of them. Yeah, like something like that. You basically doing it as you're mixing three of them. But this one is a trim, I believe. Like there's 2 trim controls on DJ 400, which that looks like a high, which is a volume, and the gain knob on top is a volume. So they're 2 the same things. Like, that is the high, and this is the trim. Something like that, and that's the gain right there. The gain, or something like that. And, yeah, that's all we showed. Alright, now into tempo adjust. This tempo is plus or minus 8. You can go faster or slower. I'll show you what it looks like. Now I'll play it for you guys. So I line it up right here once I got it. Something like that. And if you play the track, watch this. Something like that, just like the DJ. I'll show you what it looks like on a DJ Scratch. If you're using this and this. It's a cool feature to mix when you're using it. Watch this. Just like that. Something like that. You're like scratching and moving your DJ and moving this at the same time. It's the same thing that you do it over and over. That's really cool. I've never seen one of those. Like, you have to move that. I'll show you one more time with my hands. Just like that. Alright, now into effects. First of all, we got hot cue. This is our hot cue, just like our white hot cue. It's basically you're mixing or something. I'll show you what it looks like. If I move the track, set the cue, or pause it. And you press the cue point right there. And if you move on to the next one, something like that. If I go back, it won't show up right there, even though I'm trying to put it here and it moves on to right here. I'll show you the easy way how to use hot cue rather than the cue point right there. So, hot cue. Basically like you're mixing a song together and setting up the hot cue point. I'll show you what it looks like. So, if you press the hot cue, it'll set this red marker right there that you have your hot cue mode. And if you press the button, it won't play the track. Unless there's settings if you want to play the hot cue, kind of like that. You just have to not play it from here, just play it from here. And if you go back, it plays it again. Just like that. And if you set another cue point, like number 2, it'll be another hot cue point right there. If you set another track. I'll show you what it looks like. Just like that. And I'll show you the last one if you go even more farther apart. So how about, let's say, here. And if you set another hot cue, it'll be number 4, which is right there. So we have 4 hot cue modes so far. So I'll show you what it looks like when you mix it all together rather than using cue. It's similar to this cue, using white marker won't show up or anything. It shows up on the screen once you have your hot cue modes right there. Once again, focus. Just like that. Better than the normal cue. Now, because we're on hot cue now. Let's mix them all up and see what happens. Just like that, if you're mixing all of them. Just like that. I'll show you the screen. Like that. You like mix them all up. All of the hot cue. If you don't want to use it, you just have to like do it on the screen or something like that. I don't know if it's gonna work, so you have to use like loops and stuff. Or do even this, I believe. And play one of those screens. Like that. And if you want to use this, you just skip the point. Just like that. There's like a lot of features here to use the hot cue and stuff. So yeah, I'm gonna leave those and then do loops. Speaking of loop, here is the loop that I'm gonna show you guys. So I'll skip the point, so, or actually you can use the beat. So loops are like 8 loops. This one is 4 loops, 2 loops, and 1 loop. I'll show you what it looks like. And chop it down. If you press it, it'll do that again. You don't have to re-loop again once you have it. You just have to go to the next loop. I'll show you in the screen. Just like that. Something really cool. And the last, I think it's a sampler. Sampler, you have to go on the screen and put stuff into, like, for example, there's siren. It might be loud if I can turn it down just a little bit. If it doesn't work, then you just have to use the unmute button right there. And it'll be really loud if I use it. So let me turn it down. Yeah, just like that. And the air horn, it might be really loud if I turn it down. Just like that. If you want to use any mixes, you just have to use the sampler mode. And lastly, effects. You have to go on the effects tab right there. I'll show you what it looks like. There's many effects that you're gonna use. Like there's echo, reverb, phaser, flanger, and low pitch filter and high pitch filter. And there's 8-beat loops so far. I'll show you guys, which is how to use these guys right there and these guys right there. So if you're like holding something and you're playing just anything that you want, like low pitch filter, I'll show you. You just have to like hold it or something, or play it on a screen, which is easier rather than holding the button. You just have to play it on the on button right there on the screen. I'll show you what it looks like. So you have to bring this up volume and turn that on, and it plays like that. Just like that. And this one's the high pitch filter. Oops, I just did something. If you want to make it lower, you just have to go to 1/16 beat. Something like that if you're using one of those buttons to use our DJ mixer and stuff. So that's basically like that. And if you don't want to have them, you just have to go on the screen and change some filters. Any FX pad. So I'm going to change this, and I'll leave the flanger on. Or actually, let's put a phaser. And you have to adjust the volume like that if you want it loud or quiet. And that'll be easier to do it. So let's do the echo first. This is the very first important job to do, is the echo. And you have to bring the up fader down or the crossfader. Or using this. Something like that. If you bring it down, it'll keep playing. So something like that. Let's go on to 8 beats. If it's longer, it'll be a long echo. Watch. That's a really long fade out of the echo. Yeah, that is really long, echoing out. And I can still hear it. I can still hear it. And it gets quieter and quieter if you barely hearing it. And I can still hear it. And it disappears. That's like a really long time to hear the echo fade out, which is really long, 8 beats when you like hear it going loud, quiet, quiet, quieter, quietest, quietest. That's like really long. I'll show you one more time. Anyway, that is really long time to hear the echo go out. So I'll show you the half echo on, let's say, this beat right there. You can actually do something like this. Or this. Or like this. Just like that. And there's one missing that I've never showed is this. This symbol right there with a music note. If you're like hearing a pitch up and down, I'll show you what it looks like. So I'll skip the song. So I'll show you. It's a normal pitch. And this pitch. By the way, the echo's on, so I have to turn it off and hear the thing. Sorry about that. Because I don't want to play any more of this, so I'll go back to original. There we go. Okay, and we got reverb. Basically, the reverb does the same thing as the other one. I'll show you what it looks like over and over again. It doesn't do the echo, it's just the reverb. just like that. And last but not least is the phaser. So yeah, there you have it. That's our effects so far, and I hope you enjoy this full DJ tutorial and in a demo review. So thank you guys for watching, and have a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. So that being said, that's it.